fired for an eating disorder I don't have. I'm a 26-year-old nurse, and my boss is threatening to fire me because she thinks I have an eating disorder. Last week she called me in for a meeting because I never eat at work. She's worried about me because I'm naturally skinny. I told her I eat when I get home, and I'm not insecure about my body. I even asked her what's wrong with my body that would make me starve myself. She didn't answer and didn't believe me. The truth is I lose my appetite when I'm around other people eating. The smell makes me nauseous, and knowing people are eating nearby is unbearable. I'm not allowed to eat outside of the break room or take my break after my colleagues are done. So I don't eat at work. My boss said if she doesn't see me eat this week, she'll have to let me go. I'm meeting with her tomorrow, and I don't know what to say. When I've been honest about my issue, people think I'm attacking them, and it makes things worse. I'm worried about losing my job over something I don't even have. I'm trying to figure out how to explain my situation without making things worse. I'm not sure what to do or what to say to my boss tomorrow. I just want to keep my job and be able to work without being judged for something I don't have. I'm hoping to find a way to resolve this situation and keep my job. I'm meeting with my boss tomorrow, and I'm nervous about what she'll say. I just want to be able to work and be treated fairly. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I'm hoping for the best.
Farting in front of partners. I'm genuinely curious to hear from other women about their relationship dynamics, specifically when it comes to farting in front of their partners. As someone in a long-term relationship, I've often wondered if I'm the only one who struggles with this issue. Do you hold it in or let it rip, and why? I've found myself in situations where I've had to make a split-second decision, and it's not always easy. Some women might feel comfortable enough to fart in front of their partners, while others might find it embarrassing or unacceptable. I'd love to hear about your experiences and how you navigate this delicate topic. Perhaps you've had a conversation with your partner about it, or maybe you've just learned to be more mindful of your gas. Whatever the case, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts and learning more about how other women handle this sensitive subject. I've been with my partner for several years now, and while we're very comfortable with each other, there are still times when I feel self-conscious about farting. I've tried to talk to my friends about it, but it's not always easy to bring up. That's why I'm turning to this community, in the hopes that we can have an open and honest discussion about something that might seem silly, but is actually a pretty common concern. By sharing our experiences and perspectives, maybe we can all learn to be a little more comfortable with ourselves and our bodies.
I slept with a married coworker. I got entangled in a situation that I deeply regret and take full responsibility for. It started at work where I met a woman approximately 15 years older than me who was married. From the beginning, she showed an intense level of attachment and emotional volatility. Within a few months, she talked about leaving her husband and moving in together, which felt rushed and inappropriate. She regularly crossed professional boundaries by initiating personal and inappropriate conversations, both during work hours and outside of work. She asked intrusive questions about my personal life and sexual history, frequently blurring the line between professional and personal interaction. I failed to maintain proper boundaries and allowed the situation to escalate. The relationship became frequent and ongoing during work hours due to the nature of our roles and environment. I let physical desire and poor judgment override my values, professionalism, and long-term thinking. I became fixated on the physical aspect and ignored the consequences. As time passed, the guilt became unavoidable. I felt deeply uncomfortable with who I was becoming and recognized my behavior did not align with my character or moral compass. I put myself in her husband's position and realized I could not continue participating in something that caused harm to another person. When she said she was planning to leave her husband for me, it became clear the situation had gone too far. I ended the relationship, feeling relieved but also filled with regret for my actions. I now live with the knowledge of what I did and the harm it may have caused. I have to remind myself every day of the importance of maintaining professional boundaries and respecting the commitments of others. The experience has been a hard lesson, one that I will not forget. I am still trying to come to terms with my past and move forward, hoping to become a better person because of it.
It's okay to be alone tonight. As the clock strikes midnight, I want to remind you that it's okay to not have a grand celebration or a huge achievement to show for the past year. Maybe the only thing you accomplished was surviving, and that's more than enough. You're loved, you're enough, and it's okay to be alone tonight. You don't need validation from others to know your worth. Simply being here, breathing, and making it to this moment is a testament to your strength. Take care of yourself tonight, treat yourself with kindness, and honor the fact that you've made it through another year. Remember, your worth isn't measured by your achievements, but by the fact that you're still here, still fighting, and still pushing forward. So be gentle with yourself, and acknowledge that it's okay to not be okay. You're doing the best you can, and that's something to be proud of. As you reflect on the past year, remember that it's the small victories that count, not the grand gestures. You've survived every difficult moment, every heartbreak, and every setback. And that's something to celebrate. So take a deep breath, be kind to yourself, and know that you're enough just as you are. You've made it through the darkest nights, and you've come out stronger on the other side. And as you look to the future, remember that it's okay to take things one step at a time, to focus on your own healing, and to prioritize your own well-being. You are loved, you are enough, and you are strong. And it's okay to be alone tonight, because you're not alone in your feelings. You're part of a community that understands, that cares, and that wants to support you. So take care of yourself, and know that you're doing the best you can. And that's something to be proud of.
AITA for sleeping naked in my own room. I've always slept naked since I was a teenager. It's just more comfortable for me. I get too hot at night and I'm always dressed when I leave my room. My roommate knows this and we've never had a problem. We always knock on each other's doors out of politeness.
However, things changed when he brought his girlfriend over to stay for a couple of nights. We'd all hung out before, but this was her first overnight stay. After a night of drinking, we all went to sleep. I followed my usual routine, getting naked and hopping into bed. Sometime during the night, my roommate's girlfriend needed to use the bathroom, but she got the rooms mixed up and opened my door by mistake. I vaguely remember her opening the door, but I was half asleep and went right back to sleep when she closed it. The next morning, my roommate and his girlfriend were upset with me, saying I should start wearing clothes to sleep because she was going to be sleeping over more often, and it made her uncomfortable. They said I should have considered her feelings, but I argued that I'm in my own private space, and it was her mistake for walking in on me. I understand it was an accident, but I don't see why I should have to change my sleeping habits just because she's going to be staying over more often. My roommate said I was being insensitive, and that I should just wear some shorts or something to sleep, but I don't see why I should have to compromise on something that's never been a problem before. I'm not trying to be difficult, but I don't think it's fair to expect me to change my habits just because someone else is going to be staying in the house. Now my roommate and his girlfriend are barely talking to me, and it's creating an awkward living situation. I'm not sure what to do. I feel like I'm being unreasonable for wanting to sleep in my own bed the way I want to. But at the same time, I don't think I should have to change just to make someone else comfortable.
Quietly stopping the unnecessary. As I grew older, I found myself quietly stopping certain habits, not because they were wrong, but because I realized they weren't worth the energy anymore. I no longer engage in pointless debates or explain myself to people who don't matter. I used to tolerate gossip, but now I just tune it out. I stopped attending events that drain my energy, and I don't feel guilty about it. I also stopped trying to change others' opinions or justify my own. It's liberating to focus on what truly matters and let go of the rest. I realize that my time and energy are valuable, and I shouldn't waste them on things that don't bring me joy or fulfillment. Now, I prioritize my own needs and surround myself with people who uplift and support me. I feel more at peace and content with my life, and I wish I had learned this sooner. I still have moments where I slip back into old habits, but I quickly remind myself that it's okay to say no and set boundaries. It's a process, but it's worth it in the end. I am happier and more confident, and I owe it to myself for taking control of my life and my energy.
Am I crazy for not wanting my parents having access to my bank info? I'm an 18-year-old female who's been working for a year and a half, living with my parents. Yesterday, my dad asked to see my pay statement for tax purposes, so I showed him. However, he snooped around and saw my net pay, then asked how much I had in my account. I told him the truth, which was less than my net pay, and explained that I'd spent money on various things throughout the year. This is when the problem started. Despite my explanation, he wanted to see my transactions, which I refused, considering it an invasion of privacy. He got angry, saying that since I live under his roof, I have no right to privacy. We argued, with him insisting he should have access to my bank account because he thinks I'm doing something wrong with my money. I think he should trust me. My dad involved my mom, and now they're both arguing with me. He's demanding my bank account password, which I think is unfair. I should have some independence. It's worth noting that I don't even have access to my debit card every time I want to spend money. I have to ask permission, and my parents know exactly what I do with my money. I've never complained about this rule out of respect for them, so I don't understand why they won't respect my boundaries. The argument has been ongoing, with my parents insisting they need to monitor my spending. I'm frustrated and feel like I'm being treated like a child. I just want some autonomy over my own finances. Currently, the situation remains unresolved, with my parents still pushing for access to my bank account and me refusing to give in. I'm hoping to find a way to resolve this issue and gain some independence.
Escaping my crazy roommate. I was at my wit's end with my roommate, so I made the difficult decision to move out for my own safety and mental health. Although I'm still technically tied to the lease, I had to get out. Things had been escalating since my last post, and I was shocked when I found she had glued her camera to the wall in an attempt to prevent me from removing it. She also set off loud intruder alarms on the camera whenever I was home and covered it, which was really unsettling. When I tried to disable the alarm, I discovered a SD card in the back of the camera, which meant she had been recording me without my knowledge or consent. The situation came to a head when I took the camera out of the common area and placed it face down by her bedroom door, and she called the police on me for theft. To make matters worse, her dad sent me a threatening message. Despite the chaos, I'm relieved to be out of there and safe. I'm now waiting to see if she'll take any further action against me, but for now, I'm just focusing on my well-being and moving on from this toxic living situation. I'm trying to put the experience behind me and look forward to a more peaceful life.
Christmas dinner disaster. I've never really bonded with my stepmother Shelley, who's been in my life for 29 years. She's made it clear she never wanted kids, so it's always been awkward. This Christmas, we're driving 4 hours to see my dad and Shelley for a gift exchange and lunch. My dad sent over the recipe Shelley's making, but I didn't read it, knowing my kids on the spectrum with food sensitivity wouldn't eat it. I told my dad I'd bring food for them, which is fine. But when I finally read the recipe, I realized it's a casserole with no other options, and my boyfriend, his daughter, and my nephew won't eat it either. The rest of us will eat it to be polite, but we won't be happy. It's 6 days before Christmas, so I assume Shelley hasn't done the shopping yet. I'm torn between speaking up and asking her to change the menu or staying quiet and pretending to enjoy it, then stopping for dinner on the way home. I know my kid's food sensitivity is a big deal, and Shelley's never respected it. If I say something, it could lead to an awkward conversation, but if I don't, we'll all be miserable. I decide to talk to my dad about it, hoping he can help mediate the situation. He agrees to talk to Shelley, and after a bit of discussion, she decides to make some alternative dishes that everyone can enjoy. It's a relief, and we're all looking forward to a nice Christmas lunch together. In the end, speaking up and communicating with my dad and Shelley saves the day, and we have a great time together as a family. Roommate turned stalker. I had a roommate named Andrew who turned into a stalker after moving out because he thought I featured him in my novels. We roomed together in the dorms at UIC in 2021, and everything was fine until we moved out. What Andrew didn't know was that I had self-published a romance novel about 2 roommates back in 2018, long before I met him. He found out about my books and even brought them up in conversation, saying he liked what I wrote. However, things took a dark turn when the Dean of Students requested a meeting with me to discuss Andrew's claims that I wrote about him in my novels. He linked every detail to himself, even saying the protagonist's house matched his parents' house. The Dean sided with me when I showed her the publication date, and I thought that was the end of it. But roughly a year later, I saw Andrew at a soccer game at my alma mater high school, and he accused me of following him. I told him I had no idea he was there and left, but he continued to show up at places I frequented, including a local bar and grill restaurant where I was with my girlfriend. He accused me of following him again, but the manager reviewed the security footage and reassured him that we were there first. Things escalated when his father showed up at my girlfriend's house, refusing to leave until I took down my novels. He had to call the cops, and his excuse was that he was on public property. I eventually found out that Andrew had been posing as people I knew on Snapchat to view my location, which stopped once I turned off the feature. It was a shocking and disturbing experience, and I'm still trying to process how someone could become so obsessed with the idea that they were featured in my books. I'm just glad that I was able to put a stop to it and move on with my life. The whole ordeal was a wild and unbelievable ride, but I'm just grateful that it's over.
College party betrayal. I was a freshman in college, and I had been flirting with this girl for 2 weeks. We were at a party sitting on a bench, and things were getting intense. I was about to make my move and kiss her when she suddenly got up and started talking to some random guy. I was taken aback, but I tried to play it cool. What happened next was insane. Not even 5 minutes had passed, and she was making out with this guy right in front of me. To make matters worse, she was eyeing me the whole time, like she was trying to provoke a reaction. I kept my poker face, but inside I was fuming. After that night, I ghosted her, and she never understood why. Looking back, I can see why I was so upset. It was a huge blow to my ego, and I felt disrespected. But at the same time, it was also kind of amusing to see her try to get a rise out of me. I remember that night vividly, even years later. It was a wild and unforgettable experience, and it taught me to be more cautious when it comes to women. I learned that some people are just not worth my time, and that it's okay to walk away from someone who doesn't respect me. In the end, I'm glad I ghosted her, because it saved me from getting hurt even more. I'm just glad I can look back on that night and laugh at how crazy it was.
Brothers of attractive sisters share their struggles. I'm not alone in this, am I? Growing up with a really attractive sister was a unique experience. It seemed like every guy suddenly wanted to be my best friend, just to get close to her. Guys would show up uninvited at our house, and I'd have to play bouncer, which was super awkward. Friends would make creepy comments about her, and I'd have to navigate those uncomfortable conversations. But the worst part was when someone I actually liked started crushing on her instead of me. It was like I was invisible. I had to deal with the awkwardness of watching someone I cared about fall for my sister. It was a constant struggle, and I often felt like I was walking on eggshells, never knowing what would happen next. I'd have to intervene in situations where guys were being too pushy or aggressive, and it was exhausting. Looking back, I realize it was a difficult time, but it taught me a lot about setting boundaries and being protective of my sister. I'm curious to know, how bad was it for you, and how did you handle the non-stop nonsense growing up with an attractive sister? Did you have to deal with similar struggles, and how did you cope with the retention and awkwardness that came with it? I'm still dealing with the aftermath of those experiences, and it's interesting to see how they've shaped me into the person I am today.
Confronting misinformation in the office. I was grabbing a drink in the office kitchen when I overheard 2 women discussing supplements. One of them was talking about creatine, claiming it was a strong protein powder, a legal steroid with no side effects. I knew this was incorrect, as creatine is a performance enhancer that helps generate ATP energy for recovery and training performance. I politely interjected, saying, "Excuse me, ladies, creatine is not a protein powder or steroid, it's a performance enhancer." The woman who provided the misinformation responded with thanks for the mansplaining, and both of them walked off. I felt weird about the situation, wondering if correcting misinformation could be considered mansplaining. I thought about how I would react if a man had corrected me, or if a woman had provided the correction. Would that be womansplaining? I realized that my intention was to provide accurate information, not to belittle or talk down to them. The situation left me questioning what constitutes mansplaining and whether I had overstepped a boundary. I still believe that correcting misinformation is important, regardless of the person's gender. The encounter has made me more aware of how my actions may be perceived by others, and I will strive to be more considerate in the future. I am still unsure if I was in the wrong, but I hope that in the future, I can provide helpful corrections without being perceived as condescending. The experience has been a learning opportunity for me, and I will continue to reflect on my actions and their impact on others. A 24-year manatee lie. I've been living a lie for 24 years, ever since my 6-year-old son gave me a manatee mug for my birthday. He was upset when I didn't seem thrilled, so I told him manatees were my favorite animals to spare his feelings. Since then, manatee-themed gifts have been my default present from him: shirts, calendars, beer steins, and more. I've displayed them proudly in my home, but the truth is, manatees have never been my favorite animal. I've just been rolling with the lie because it was harmless and I didn't want to hurt my son's feelings. But now, my deception has reached a boiling point. My son is turning 30 and I'm turning 55, and for Christmas, he's booked a trip for us to go to Florida to see manatees. He's ecstatic and telling everyone about it. Even my ex-wife is excited for me to finally see the manatees. I'm dreading the trip, feeling guilty for my years of dishonesty. I'm not sure how to come clean to my son without ruining the trip and our relationship. I've been trying to figure out how to tell him the truth, but I'm scared of his reaction. As the trip approaches, I'm getting more and more anxious. I know I need to confess, but I'm not sure when or how. The thought of seeing manatees in person is actually making me nervous, knowing that my son thinks it's my dream come true. I just hope that when I finally tell him the truth, he'll understand why I lied and that our relationship will be strong enough to withstand it. For now, I'm just trying to enjoy the time I have with my son and make the most of this trip, even if it's not exactly what I wanted. I'm looking forward to seeing my son's face light up when he sees the manatees, and I hope that will make all the years of lying worth it.
Possible daughter from a one-night stand 23 years ago. I'm 45 now, but 23 years ago, I was 21 and visiting a friend in college. I met a woman at a bar and we hit it off. She was from a city in Florida, and we both got pretty intoxicated. After some flirting, we decided to do something crazy and hooked up in the back of her friend's car. We were about to exchange numbers, but my friends pulled me away, and I ended up going to a house party instead. I tried finding her afterward, but it was before the internet was what it is now, and I couldn't track her down. I let it go, thinking I was probably just another random hookup of hers. Fast forward to recently, a conversation with those same friends around the holidays made me think of her again, and her name popped into my mind. I googled her name and found out she was married with teenage kids now. But then I came across a photo from a few years ago where she's celebrating someone's 21st birthday. The caption said something like, "Can't believe my baby is 21. That caught my attention because, based on the timing, if I had gotten her pregnant that night, the age of her kid would match up. I'm not sure what to do with this information, or if I should even reach out to her. Part of me is curious about the possibility of having a child out there, but another part of me is hesitant to disrupt her life and her family. I've been thinking about this nonstop, trying to weigh the pros and cons of reaching out. I've considered the potential consequences of revealing this information, not just for her, but for her family and our potential child. I've also thought about the possibility of taking a DNA test to confirm whether or not I'm the father. I'm torn between my desire to know the truth and my fear of causing unnecessary drama. I'm looking for input on what I should do next, and how I should approach this situation if I decide to reach out.
Woke up to a shocking discovery. I've spent 25 years thinking it was normal to struggle with opening my eyes in the morning. As a kid, I'd squint and blink for 20 to 30 minutes before I could fully wake up. My mom told me it was just a matter of getting used to the morning light. So I planned my mornings around this quirk, setting a second alarm an hour before I had to get up. But things took a turn when I had a toddler who slept terribly, making mornings even rougher. One morning, I took a picture of myself with my squinty eyes to show a friend how exhausted I looked. She asked me why my eyes were like that, and I told her I hadn't gotten used to the light. Her confusion sparked my curiosity, and I started asking friends and Googling. It turned out most people can just open their eyes in the morning without issue. A friend suggested I might sleep with my eyes open, which seemed plausible, especially since my son slept with his eyes cracked. I realized I might have been doing the same, and it was not normal. This discovery has been a game changer for me, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I'm 27 years old, and it's crazy to think I've been living with this for so long. I'm now exploring ways to address this issue, and I'm hopeful that I can finally start my days without the struggle. It's been a wild ride, but I'm glad I finally know the truth.
I watch movies alone at night. I love my wife and daughter, but watching movies with them is a different story. To me, the perfect movie experience is in the dark, with a big bowl of popcorn and zero talking. However, my wife insists on keeping the lights on full blast and chatting throughout the film. She often asks what's going on in the movie 15 minutes later, which is frustrating. When I'm watching my annual Vincent Price marathon in October, she calls them stupid old movies. The biggest issue is the constant distractions. She'll ask me to get her milk or a snack, pulling me away from the movie. For me, watching a movie means giving it my undivided attention, without phones, laptops, or tablets. So when I want to watch a movie that I know she won't be interested in, I wait until she goes to bed, make some popcorn, and enjoy it by myself. It's my way of having some alone time and appreciating the film without any interruptions. I found that this is the best way for me to truly enjoy a movie, and I'm looking forward to watching the new Knives Out movie tonight, after my wife has gone to bed. I'll be able to focus on the plot, the characters, and the suspense, without any distractions. It's not that I don't want to spend time with my wife, but when it comes to movies, I'm a bit of a purist. I want to be able to immerse myself in the story and enjoy the experience, without any interruptions. Tonight I'll be doing just that, and I'm excited to see how the movie unfolds. As I sit here, waiting for my wife to drift off to sleep, I can feel my anticipation building. I'll make some popcorn, get comfortable, and let the movie transport me to another world. It's my own little escape, and I'm looking forward to it.
1 year sober from weed. I never thought I'd reach this milestone, but today I'm celebrating 1 year without THC. For 15 years I was a heavy weed smoker, starting at 15 and instantly becoming a pothead. I thought it helped my anxiety, but over time I realized it made it worse.
I wanted to quit for years, but felt like I needed it to sleep and feel happy. When I finally decided to stop, I threw away all my weed and faced the tough withdrawal symptoms. The first few weeks were brutal. I couldn't sleep until 4 or 5 a.m., had headaches, and was irritable. But after a month, I started to feel amazing. I slept great, had more dreams, was more motivated, and felt more relaxed and less anxious. Now, after a year, I feel like quitting was the best decision I've made in a long time. I'm not criticizing those who choose to smoke weed. I think it's fine for most people. I just want to share my experience and encourage daily smokers to take breaks and see how they feel without it. Quitting might have positive effects for them. I'm proud of myself for overcoming my addiction, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. I've learned that I'm capable of change and that I don't need weed to be happy. I'm grateful for the support of my loved ones and for the opportunity to start fresh. I hope my story can inspire others to make positive changes in their lives.
Am I the jerk for telling my son's school to get their act together? I've got twin 11-year-old sons who aren't identical, but they do look similar, and their older sister looks pretty similar to them too. James is taller and slightly more slender in the face, while Ben is more freckle-white and noticeably paler. They have the same eye and hair color, but James has longer hair that's more wavy than Ben's. James tends to be very neat and tidy, while Ben is always covered in ink or paint. In school they wear uniforms, so you'd think they'd be easy to tell apart, but apparently not. They are in the same groups for everything, despite having different friendship groups and hobbies, except for chess club, which they both attend. They've told me they still get called the wrong name, even though they've been at the school since September. Both boys have permission to take medication in school for seasonal allergies and eczema, and the school stores antihistamines and eczema cream for them to access as needed. I'm at my wit's end with the school's constant mix-ups, and I've told them it's their responsibility to make sure they have the right child. I've had enough of the mistakes, and I think it's time the school takes responsibility for getting it right. The final straw was when they gave Ben's medication to James by mistake, and I'm still fuming about it. The school needs to get its act together and start telling my sons apart. I'm worried about what could happen if they continue to get it wrong, and I'm not going to stand for it. The school has promised to look into it and make changes, but I'm still waiting to see if they'll follow through. For now, I'm just trying to make sure my sons are safe, and that the school is doing its job.
Married for love. I was one of those people who married for love over financial stability. My wife and I met in college, and it was like the whole world had come to a standstill. We were young, in love, and nothing else mattered. We got married a year after graduation, and it was a beautiful ceremony surrounded by friends and family. But the reality soon set in. We were struggling to make ends meet. My wife had a decent job, but I was still trying to find my footing in the industry. We had to move in with my parents for a while, which was a huge blow to our pride. There were times when we had to choose between paying the rent or buying groceries. It was tough, but our love for each other kept us going. We worked multiple jobs, sold items we no longer needed, and even had to rely on food banks at times. But slowly things started to look up. I landed a better job and my wife got a promotion. We were finally able to move into our own place, and it felt like a huge accomplishment. Looking back, I do not regret our decision to marry for love. It was not easy, but it was worth it. We have been married for over 10 years now, and our love has only grown stronger. We have 2 beautiful kids, and we are still going strong. I realize that financial stability is important, but it is not the only thing that matters in life. Our journey has taught us to appreciate the little things and to never take our love for granted. We are now in a much better place financially, and we are grateful for the struggles we faced. They made us who we are today, and we would not change a thing. We are living proof that marrying for love can work, and we hope our story can inspire others to follow their hearts.
My girlfriend has a shocking body odor issue. We've been together for 5 years, and my girlfriend has always been clean and hygienic, but last week I was hit with a horrible smell when she hugged me. At first I thought it was me, so I washed my hands, but then we went grocery shopping and I caught the smell again, this time realizing it was coming from her. I was shocked and could smell it from 3 feet away. I knew I had to tell her, even if it was a sensitive topic. I approached the conversation with care, and to my surprise she took it well. She showered and brushed her teeth when we got home, but unfortunately it didn't help. The smell isn't due to poor hygiene, as she showers daily and has a routine, but rather seems to be an internal issue. When she sweats even slightly, the smell is overwhelming like diarrhea. I'm at a loss for what to do as I want to support her, but the smell is affecting our daily life. I've tried to be understanding, but it's getting to the point where I don't know how to handle it. I want to help her find a solution, but I'm not sure where to start. The smell is not only embarrassing, but it's also affecting our intimacy and overall relationship. I'm hoping we can find a way to resolve this issue, but for now, I'm stuck in a difficult situation, trying to balance my love and support for her with the overwhelming smell that's taking a toll on our relationship.
My cocaine use has hit rock bottom. I'm scared and ashamed to admit my cocaine use has spiraled out of control. Until 3 months ago, I only used it with friends on weekends, but I knew it was a problem. Since then, I've started using it alone in my house and it's become an isolating crutch. Last week was the worst. I spent 20 hours straight in my bedroom going through 4 grams of cocaine with no food or sleep. I even called emergency services because I thought I was having a heart attack. The paramedics explained it was from 2 days without sleep and sent me back inside. The cost was staggering, $1,400 for something that's destroying my life. A gram in Australia costs $350, so I can see how quickly this addiction is draining my finances. I've never posted on Reddit before, but I need to share this secret with someone. My partner and friends know I use it socially, but none of them know about these solo binges. I feel like I've hit rock bottom and I'm desperate for help. Has anyone else struggled with this kind of addiction?
How did you overcome it? What advice can you offer? I'm attending a support group meeting this week thanks to the advice I've received, and I'm hoping it's the first step towards recovery. I'm taking back control of my life and I'm determined to overcome this addiction.
Former housewife for a couple reveals all. I was born in America, but spent my childhood in England, where I had a tough home life. At 18, I left England and moved to the US with some savings from part-time jobs and birthday money. I landed a server job at an upscale restaurant, likely due to my English accent. A regular customer, a lady in her mid-40s, would often request me as her server, giving generous tips and chatting with me about my life. One day she called me, having obtained my number from my boss, and offered me a job as her houseboy. I met her at a coffee shop, and she explained the role, doing chores and providing emotional support as her partner was often away. I accepted and spent about 5 years in the role, forming a close bond with her. Although I inadvertently contributed to the end of her relationship, which was ultimately her partner's fault, I don't regret my time as her houseboy. She was generous, and the experience has set me up for a better life. I've kept this part of my life private, but I'm sharing it now. I have no regrets and feel grateful for the opportunity. The lady's partner was often gone, and I became a source of comfort for her. As time passed, our bond grew stronger, and I learned a lot from her. I'm thankful for the experience and the positive impact it's had on my life. I'm now in a better place, and I owe it to her and the opportunity she provided.
I altered a road sign to ease my commute. My daily commute was a nightmare due to a no right turn between 7am 930am sign. I had to make that turn around 720am every day, so I'd often break the law or take a detour if I thought someone was watching. One day, out of boredom, I researched the fine for making an illegal turn and discovered it was more expensive than buying a new sign from the supplier that makes signs for our area. I decided to order a new sign that read no right turn between 730am 930am, figuring it was a good investment. I bought it through an alias and had it sent to a remote location, enjoying the secrecy of it all. Under the cover of night, I removed the old sign and put up the new one, expecting it to be removed or investigated soon after. However, over a decade has passed, and no one has noticed or changed it. I did consider taking it down, but that would have likely drawn attention, and to be honest, the thrill of getting away with it was part of the fun. As time went on, I began to think I'd gotten away with it, and my commute was significantly easier. It's been 13 years now, and I still drive by that sign, wondering if anyone will ever discover my secret. I've grown accustomed to the convenience it's brought me, and I often find myself smiling when I think about the whole ordeal. My commute is no longer a hassle, and I have my clandestine sign switched to thank for it. I've learned to appreciate the little things in life, like a smoother commute, and I'm grateful for the adventure that came with it.
AITA for leaving my mom at the airport with no ticket and no plan. I'm still haunted by the memory of leaving my mom at the airport with no ticket and no plan. Growing up, my mom was abusive, and at 12, I had to leave home through the courts and move in with my dad. The court paperwork still hurts, where under name of child she wrote something like, "I have no son." I've carried that pain with me ever since. I had little contact with her after that, except briefly at 17 and again in my early 20s. It wasn't until I got sober in 2018, at almost 40, that I made an effort to reconnect with my family, including my mom. She's now closer to 70 and has zero contact with 2 of her 3 kids. Reconnecting wasn't easy, and when I asked if she ever reflected on the abuse, she told me I was an adult and needed to let it go already. That was a turning point, and I realized any forgiveness would be one-sided. If I wanted peace, it was on me. Since then, our relationship has been rocky, but present. We've had family reunions, and even traveled overseas together for 3 weeks. We argue often, usually over small things, but we stayed in contact until the incident at the airport. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know I need to prioritize my own well-being. I'm still trying to process my emotions and come to terms with my decision. The aftermath has been difficult, and I'm left wondering if I'm the jerk for leaving my mom at the airport with no ticket and no plan.
The secret world of male intimacy. I recently found myself wondering how common it is for men to own a fleshlight. My curiosity was piqued when I discovered that my boyfriend had one, but when I asked him about it, he seemed taken aback. He told me that men just don't discuss these things like women do with their own intimate toys. This got me thinking, is the fleshlight as prevalent as the vibrator, or is it a more taboo topic? I began to realize that there's a significant lack of open conversation about male intimacy and the use of such devices. It's almost as if it's a secret world that men don't feel comfortable discussing, even with their partners. My boyfriend's response made me understand that men often keep these things to themselves, and it's not something that's typically brought up in everyday conversation. I'm still unsure about the prevalence of fleshlights among men, but it's clear that there's a need for more open and honest discussions about male intimacy. Perhaps by talking about it, we can break down the stigma surrounding the topic and create a more comfortable environment for men to express themselves. As I continue to navigate this conversation with my boyfriend, I'm learning more about his perspective and the reasons behind his initial hesitation to discuss the topic. It's been an eye-opening experience, and I'm hoping that by sharing my story, I can encourage others to engage in similar conversations and help normalize the discussion around male intimacy.
Forced out by roommates. I'm the girl whose roommates freaked out over my bookshelf placement. Things have escalated. I've lived in this apartment over a year longer than my current roommates. I'm quiet, work full-time, and mind my business, rarely using shared spaces. The original issue was with Karen, who didn't like my bookshelf's location in a shared area. I offered to let her move it, but she claimed she didn't want to touch my things without me present, despite moving my stuff before without asking. Now, Carol, Karen's close friend, says the living situation is affecting her mental health and that I should move out. She claims it's her last resort. I've done nothing to disturb them, yet they're trying to force me out. I've attached screenshots of our conversation. It's shocking to see them gang up on me like this. I've never had issues with past roommates, and I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm being bullied out of my own home. The situation is taking a toll on me, and I'm not sure how much more I can take. I'm trying to stay calm and figure out my next move, but it's hard when it feels like they're trying to push me out. I've lived here for a long time, and I don't want to leave, but I also don't want to deal with this stress anymore. I'm hoping to find a way to resolve this situation without having to move out, but it's looking more and more unlikely. I'm at a loss for what to do, and I'm starting to feel like I'm running out of options. The thought of having to start over and find a new place to live is overwhelming, and I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. I just want to be able to live in my home without being harassed by my roommates.
I found out why my dad never let me touch his old phone. I still remember the old keypad phone my dad never let anyone touch, not even me. After he passed away last year, I kept it as a memento from his room. It was an old calls-only phone, no cell phone, no WhatsApp. I finally charged it last week, and was shocked to find 47 unsent messages in the drafts folder, all addressed to my mother's number. But what was even more surprising was that my mother had passed away 10 years ago. The messages were simple. Everyday updates safely arrived at work. Made your favorite Dal. Missed you a bit more this evening. The final draft, dated the night before he passed away, read maybe tomorrow I'll stop pretending you're just busy. It was then that I realized my dad wasn't clinging to the phone, but to a version of life where loneliness hadn't completely taken over. He was holding on to the hope that my mother was still with him, that she was just busy and would come back tomorrow. I felt a mix of emotions, sadness, nostalgia, and a deep understanding of my dad's grief. I didn't delete any of the messages. I just turned the phone off and then back on, preserving the memories and the emotions that came with them. Now, the phone serves as a reminder of my dad's love and his struggle to cope with loss. I'm grateful to have this piece of him, and I'll keep it safe, along with the memories of my parents and the love they shared.
Am I the jerk for not wearing pants to a party? I'm a 21-year-old college student in a frat, and I'm gay. My college has a date party to celebrate the end of finals, and this year's theme was split a suit. I asked my date, a guy from my class who's also gay, what he felt comfortable wearing, and he said he preferred to be dressed. So I told him he could wear the dress shirt and pants, and I'd wear the remainder. I ended up wearing a blazer, was shirtless with a tie, and had on boxer briefs. I thought I was on theme, but things took a turn when a friend's girlfriend came up to me and said I was being inappropriate and making the girls uncomfortable. I felt embarrassed, so my date and I left. My date said I had misled him about what the party would be like, and that I was an awful host for not dressing appropriately. Now I'm wondering if I was in the wrong. I thought I was just having fun and being creative with the theme, but I guess I misread the situation. My date seemed okay with the outfit when I first told him their idea, but I guess he was just being polite. I feel like I let him down, and I'm not sure how to make it right. I'm still trying to process what happened and figure out if I was really being a jerk. I know I didn't mean to make anyone uncomfortable, but I can see how my outfit might have been a bit much. I just wish I could go back and do things differently. As it stands now, I'm just trying to learn from my mistake and move forward. I hope my date can forgive me and that we can move past this. I value our friendship, and I don't want this one incident to ruin things between us. I'm just trying to be more considerate in the future and make sure I'm not making anyone uncomfortable.
My dad's silent support. My dad retired last year, and instead of taking up golf or traveling, he started showing up at my apartment unannounced. At first I found it annoying, but I soon realized he only started doing this after my breakup. He'd sit with me, fix little things, and eat whatever I had, which was usually nothing. He never asked how I was doing or brought up the breakup, but his presence was comforting. Last week he walked in on a mess, laundry piled up, dishes everywhere, and unopened mail. Without a word, he started washing dishes and humming the same off-key tune he used to sing when I was a kid. I felt myself crack a little, and it hit me that my dad had been watching out for me, noticing my depression before I did. He found a way to keep me afloat without making me feel like a burden. I'm grateful for his silent support, but I'm scared for the day he stops coming by. I don't know how to tell him I notice or that I'm thankful, but I'm trying to appreciate these moments with him. My dad's subtle presence has been a lifeline, and I'm not sure what I'd do without it. As time passes, I'm starting to realize that his visits are not just about fixing things around the apartment, but about fixing me too. I'm still trying to process my emotions and find a way to express my gratitude, but for now, I'm just thankful for his quiet companionship.